आज दो डिज़ाइनर्स मिलके काफ़ी रंग जमाने वाले एंड मोर अबाउट रंग, आई मीन नॉट रंग, एक्चुअली इट्स डंग. It's a very candid conversation that we might have, and our experiences or what all work that we have done so far and the lessons that we have learned, and we both will share all the lessons with you guys, so all the aspirants, the upcoming designers or real-time professionals in the industry watching this will definitely get value out of this live. So the session is all about number one, some real-time scenario, the COVID scenario, and how designers are dealing with this. Also, some takeaways for designers, along with some thumb rules that we can share with our experience so far that will help them in their design journey ahead. And of course, how they can have a good profile online, how they can, use online as a platform to get more leads, and yes, how the portfolio should be for them. This is something that we have in our mind for the live right now. And the guest that I have today is a very special person. I'm glad that we connected over here through Insta, and she is a designer based out of Pune, and it's something that connected some story. Our stories had little similarities of how you make your own path in this industry. And let me get her on board now. So Anisa has been working independently as a freelancer for quite a long time now. Even she worked with agencies like all the designers aspire to, and so both the experiences, might add up to the conversation and give more value. And she's also associated with DAM Design Collective, and again, yeah, even she's more into branding and how she can help uh, SMEs, brands, and entrepreneurs in their brand building process.
Hi,
Hi, Anisha. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
All good, yeah. How's lockdown treating you? And of course, a bit unlocked down now, slow and steady.
Lockdown is actually treating me pretty well, and I think that I think you'll agree also that during lockdown our work has increased as graphic
It
designers.
is touchwood, and it should. It has.
Hi, hello everyone. Nice to see you. Yeah, so I think lockdown has kind of increased our work because I feel like everyone's starting to move digital now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so whatever businesses that pretty much had only a physical footing have now sort of realized that, it's time to have a web presence, it's time to have a social media presence, it's time to build a brand. So,
Right.
hey Harshal, how are you? So yeah, I think you'd agree also, right?
Earlier we had to convince or educate some of the people that why it is important or the significance of it, which has reduced a bit now. People already know the significance and now they want to just roll out. So that has increased our work, and yes, it's amazing
Oh yeah, totally.
to help the
So
people
now we
out there.
don't have to explain these things anymore
Yeah.
because now when people are in this situation, they've automatically realized the importance of building a brand and, having their internet and web presence really solid.
Thanks to Vocal for Local. And yeah, so
That's
Anisha, if you
true.
can, I mean, explain a bit about you or your journey so far, like where it started, and in a very short, I mean, some briefly, if you can tell the audience out there.
Yeah, sure. So, really briefly, I've studied design at MIT Institute of
Okay.
Design for 4 years,
Okay.
and I'm a graphic designer, and I'm also
Okay.
a content writer and copywriter, which I think works pretty well for being in graphic design because,
It's a great
yeah,
combo.
it's a pretty decent combination because a lot of graphic design involves layout of text as well as graphic elements.
Yeah.
So yeah, the two work pretty well hand in hand. And I've worked as a copywriter and graphic designer at a Bombay-based firm called Beyond Design, which is in
Right.
Worli.
Right. Right.
So I've actually been freelancing since 2016 during my
Okay.
studio time as well. And
Okay.
I
Okay.
quit my job in February and I'm back to freelancing, which is, I think,
Amazing.
a decent place to be right now.
Amazing, yes. So one thing that I loved was you are also a copywriter or a content writer along with being a designer. So the people watching this is articulation of your thoughts is the first thing that irrespective, it doesn't matter whether you are a good copywriter or at least you start writing is what I would like to tell the viewers out there. Right, Anisa, like if you are not able to articulate your thoughts, your ideas in words, in paragraphs, or it does helps in the design process as well. Like I'm not telling everyone to be a copywriter plus designer, but if you are able to articulate your thoughts, bingo, even that works a bit.
Definitely
So,
that works because
so
especially
I,
when you're creating a brand, you have to be able to express certain personality
yeah,
dimensions and,
yeah,
emotions that go with the brand. You need to have some
true.
words to be able to express that.
True. So, as I said, today's session is more about how we can give them some takeaways and how our experiences can help them.
Yeah,
And this is and I guess we have already started with the articulation of thoughts thing that we are telling them.
that is
And
true. Yeah.
true. So, another thing, Anisa, is current scenario. Like you said, the work is increasing in the lockdown. What's your say in the current scenario for the designers? Like how good or bad the current scene is, the COVID scene or the post-COVID scene, or during this COVID scene? How's how is it for designers, or how good or bad it is for them, and what is good and what is bad for the designers?
So, that's a very interesting question. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think as you mentioned on the poster itself,
How is the
designers, yeah, true. Designers are problem solvers, and we are all currently in the middle of one of the biggest crises
right,
that humans have faced in a long time. And we
right,
have to adapt really quickly to this new scenario. So,
right,
as designers, I think we are one of the fields that are being forced to adapt the fastest.
right.
So, especially with regards to, say, graphic design, I think you'll agree also that our setup was pretty much very conducive to working from home. To you
It
just have
is.
to pick up your laptop and get to it. So I think what
It is
has changed,
a blessing, rather.
yeah,
you
it is
get
a blessing.
you get your own privacy and bang on. Like you are on it. It's so
Yeah,
productive, to be honest.
honestly, yeah. And now there's no even the whole process of going out to meet a client, meeting in person obviously is the best. But now that
Yeah,
we are changing it up to meeting via Zoom or meeting via video call, it's kind of the distractions are lessened. You waste less time traveling. It streamlines your whole process of working.
right, right. So the best part I think is I still love the human to human meetings because our
Of
industry is
course,
as
yeah.
such, which unless you ice break with the client or know the client better, it's difficult to take things ahead. But the Zoom meetings or any particular video meetings are too structured on agenda and timely. Like there is no extra talks or unnecessary talks that happen, and everybody knows what's the way ahead after the meeting. So it's too structured, is what I believe.
I do agree with that,
Like
but also
agenda
I
wali
find that
was never the case before that. On agenda wali meetings was never the case before that.
so yeah, you're right. I think when you meet in person, like you tend to spend a little more time, having normal
Yeah,
conversation and getting to know the person a bit more. So I suppose, yeah, that's missing a little bit. But I
right.
also don't mind that now everything is kind of to the point and,
True,
you're
true,
cutting immediately to the chase and understanding the client's requirements right from the start.
true, true, true.
So I think that's true. So our process has not changed that much. I think speaking for graphic designers at least, it's just that now where we would have otherwise spent time going out and interacting in person and kind of doing some on the ground research, we're
Right.
kind of now limited to spending time on the web and researching as far as we can over there.
But don't you think it's very important for them now to have a very hygienic and great presence online, like the designers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So now because you can't really
It
do too much
yeah,
in-person interaction, all your work
yeah,
needs to be out there. It needs to be on social media. It needs to be on your online portfolio to properly showcase what you're capable of.
right, right. more or less even their stories or their ideologies or what do they believe in as a designer, or anything, their credentials, their portfolio. They should make sure that they either have or I guess you will be able to explain all these things better in this live ahead as we progress.
Yeah, definitely. So I think now that we've kind of like agreed on the fact that, especially in this time, having your online presence and social media presence in form of your portfolio and showcasing what you're capable of is really important. It was
True.
already important. Now perhaps it's become more important.
It's more important, or this is the, I guess we have also questions coming up, and I would also urge people out here to keep asking questions and we will take them as and when possible. So we have a question from Ishita Seth. How has pitching for a client changed? Anisha, if you would like to add something. How
Sure, yeah.
pitching for a client changed?
So I'd say pitching for a client has changed in that now we can't really rely on the personal connect so much, because previously when you would meet a client in person, there was that scope of convincing them and allowing them to understand you as a person that builds that baseline of trust. Now
True.
that human connect has kind of been reduced a little bit, and you have to rely almost entirely on your body of work to show all the projects and all the skills that you are capable of and all the areas you've worked in before. So I
True.
think it's become more dependent on the work that you have and what you can showcase in hard, solid physical proof,
True.
or
True.
digital proof.
Digital proof rather this time. So the pitching for
Yeah.
me has changed a bit. Pitching for me has changed in a manner where even I myself, like even I was not very much updated on all the portals or had a great online presence. But slow and steady, even I am coping up to have a great online presence with all the work displayed out there in a very efficient manner. And so again, coming back to a very great thing like our title, why designers are problem solvers and not just designers.
So why designers are problem solvers and why they're not just designers? So I
Right.
think a very common misconception is that at least in terms of graphic design and branding, a
Yeah.
brand is considered a logo, and a brand is really not that. It's, I know you'll agree with me. It's so much more than a logo.
I can go
In
to I can simply
Yeah.
go to xyz.com. Yeah.
That's true. So, I mean, a brand is the emotion and the feeling that a person associates with the service or product that you offer.
Right.
And that is what you're trying to do here. You're trying to create a visual language, a conversation style,
Right.
um, a whole entire personality for this brand that starts with maybe the logo. The logo is probably just the face of it. You have to
Right.
create a body or personality that is able to communicate with people and for
Right.
them to trust in you and your brand. So I
Right.
think that is the problem that we're tackling. How do you connect with people? And how do you
Right.
convince people that your product or service is worth investing their time and their emotion in?
Right. So again, like we have a question coming up from audience where a difference between a graphic designer and a visualizer, or a visualizer and a designer in general. So your take on it.
So my take on it, between a visualizer and a designer. So
Yeah.
I feel like between the two um, there's a fair amount of overlap.
Somebody said
Um,
when you say designer, people consider you as a fashion designer.
oh, that's actually something that has been asked to me as
Happened.
well.
True.
Yeah, it happened to me. I think between a visualizer and a designer, there's a fair amount of overlap between the two.
Yeah.
A designer does have to be a visualizer, of course, because you do
Yeah.
need to envision how a brand's future is going to look like and how to translate these thoughts into actual physical collateral. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of visualization that falls into design. But what I'd say is the key difference is that the designer needs to also have the hard skill to back it up. You need to be able
Hmm.
to create these collaterals that you are envisioning. A
Right.
visualizer might be more on the lines of a strategizer to help create the future steps of a brand and kind of lay out the path.
Thought process as well, or have a rationale or a logic behind everything that he does, and is able to give some sort of a direction to the project, or some
Exactly.
rather it should not be like that anymore is what I believe. It's my personal opinion that graphic designer visualizer mat karo. Matlab, if there is a if you are a visualizer, or term it a visualizer, a designer, a graphic designer, please guys, don't be just someone who knows fonts, colors, layouts and everything. Have a deep understanding of the client, the business, understand the business objective, try to solve their problem with your design skills, or your simplify the communication for them. So that's how all you need to inculcate all this in your day-to-day work. So is all what I can say. And that
Absolutely, I agree. So,
don't be graphic designer versus visualizer anymore. If you are anybody, graphic designer or a visualizer, make sure you are adapted to all these things and you are solving the client's problem through your design.
and I think that's the most important thing, because if
Yeah,
you are just focused on your skills and the fact that I can use this software, you're not a designer, you are a skill monkey. Anyone can
yeah,
download the software, take a tutorial, and figure out how to use the software. But if you
yeah,
don't have that investment in the future of the brand, in visualizing
true,
where it's going to go, in
true,
creation of brand strategy,
true,
then you're not a designer. You are just
true.
someone who knows the software.
I have a very good mentor of mine, Mr. Ashish, in this life, and I still remember he used to say, aesthetics about tools. Like tools are there, but aesthetics are important. Please make sure your foundations and aesthetics are right as a designer.
So I think this word aesthetic is very interesting, because a lot of clients tend to say that, make it pretty. And
Hmm.
that is something that I think frustrates so many of us as designers, because it's not about making something pretty. If something is
Yeah,
pretty and doesn't have purpose, then that is not a design. It does not serve its function. So
true.
I think to explain this kind of visualization is one of the key responsibilities of being a designer. It's not
Great.
about making it pretty.
We have someone asking, how has your imagination, how lockdown has boosted your imagination or your creative thought process?
How has lockdown boosted imagination or creative thought process? I think where otherwise we probably would have gone out and researched with what we usually interact with physically, right
Yeah,
now we have to do a lot more visualization sitting at home, you know?
right,
So I think your creative mind also has a lot less distraction when you're stuck
right,
at home. There's
right.
not 6 million things going on. I don't have this appointment. I don't have
Yeah,
that appointment to
yeah,
make.
yeah.
It's just me alone with my thoughts and my laptop, and I'm
Clutter free.
able to, exactly, I'm truly able to focus.
Great. Uh, Anisha, more, I mean, if you can give some thumb rules or anything, like some thumb rules that a designer should adapt, know, and stand by. A thumb rule
Okay.
for an ideal designer.
That's true. That's a very interesting question. Okay, so I think that one of the main things, as we've discussed earlier, it
Yeah,
is very important to know your softwares. It is very important to have your skill base set, because obviously, if you don't know that, you're not ever going to be able to execute what's in your mind.
true.
But beyond that, just having the skill set is your base requirement. You need to start investing a lot more in how that skill set is just a small piece of a much larger picture. So
Okay,
it
okay,
is when you move into branding, you need to figure out and you need to first connect with your client,
right,
understand what their problem is, because a lot of
right.
the time clients are not able to articulate what it is that they want.
Okay,
They don't
okay.
speak our language. They find it difficult to. I think you've also probably faced this issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to kind of read between the lines and interpret what exactly do they want.
I had someone saying a very good. I mean, I won't. How do I place this? Designers feel that the brief given from the client is the blueprint, but that should not be the case. Matlab, don't
That's true.
expect. Brief is important, but having the brief at place is something that happens through a good interaction first, and it's our responsibility to handhold the
Yes,
client
that's
in
true.
that.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily always expect the, if they know already, why will they come to you?
Yeah. And a lot of the times they don't know, which is why they come to you.
Yeah, so it's our responsibility to handhold, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. You can't always stick to a brief, because the brief is something that they um, imagine that they want. But once you get to the core of it and you go beyond the brief and you understand what their end goal is, because at the end of it, the client's goal needs to be your goal. So
True.
if you are following steps that they think are the right steps, but ultimately does not achieve their goal, then you failed, essentially.
Right, right.
So I think
Absolutely.
going beyond the brief is one of the most important things to understand what the main issue is behind the word. And obviously, once you start getting into the research phase, you need to understand who your target audience is, who you're designing for, because it
Right,
comes back to the human element of it all. Humans
right.
interact with design.
How are
So,
you managing to get projects? Like I have some question coming up. How are you managing to get projects at this time in the tough times or testing
uh,
times?
I think I'm actually a very fortunate person because I have been freelancing for quite a while. So my
Yeah.
network is actually quite built.
Okay.
And so now what I'm getting is people from my existing network are coming up with more ways. Now that they're going digital, they're coming up with more ways to service their own clients that are
Right.
based in the digital field. So a
Okay.
lot of website work is coming up from existing clients. And
Okay.
not to mention, when clients are happy, they put you on to more people.
True.
And yeah, so I think clients have led to other clients, I think is one very important thing that
So
has kind
the
of worked in my
referrals are working for you even in this testing times. Like the referrals are
referrals are
something that are
always
working.
working. Yeah.
So of course, so that again, so we need to make sure that we don't do it just for commercial sake, but then we are also doing some work that we are proud of, solves the current problem, and only then even the client will refer you to someone, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Only if the
on
client feels that his problem is solved is he going to
uh,
refer you to anyone else.
बाकी तो design any xyz.com can do, and sometimes like even clients are designers now with all these tools and apps coming up. But only thing that can help us or we should adapt is being a good strategist and understanding the strategy part with the design part, not just focusing on the design. Start with the strategy, then the design of course comes hand in hand.
I fully agree with that. I mean, that is the first place where you start, right? What is your problem
True.
statement and what do you visualize are the steps and means to get to the solution?
Right, right. So some thumb rules that I feel are you need to adapt with some technologies as well. You need to
Yeah, yeah.
keep yourself updated. The industry is dynamic. That the industry we are in, it won't take much time, to be. We may today we are here, tomorrow we are outdated maybe. So be updated with the technologies, be agile, and always yeah, so being agile is again very much important. And what I believe is it's okay, you should have your own niche, focus on your genre or niche, but then also understand all the applications of a project. It's okay if you are not into the social media or not into the website side of the project, or if it's a website project you are not in the coding side. If it's a social media project, you are not in the digital strategy or social strategy, but still have a bit know-how of everything on any project you are working on, is what I believe, Anisha.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. In fact, now we're seeing increasingly that there is so much overlap between all the fields of design, even as
Yeah,
each field of design is fragmenting into several smaller specializations. So
yeah,
now, I mean, fields are existing today that didn't even exist 5 years ago because of
right,
the need of the hour. So I
right,
think, like you mentioned, it's super important to keep abreast of what's going on, watch videos, watch tutorials, watch theory videos by other designers and people who are leaders in your field, and of
right.
course, books on your subject, because that's how you
True.
get a deep understanding of what is going on and and you can also, in fact, to an extent, predict trends that are going to come. Because only
Yeah,
if you're able to have a slight foresight of what's going to happen, are you going to be able to stay along with the curve.
right.
So a
So
lot of
although,
people, I think,
yeah,
feel that after they finish college, bus learning khatam ho gaya. But that's
yeah,
really not the case.
लर्निंग भी सही लर्निंग होनी चाहिए. And it took, like I took my own time to find my niche, focus on the branding side. I have done design in all the possible applications, but I took time. But then you should know that you have to find your niche, have your genre. Being generic is one thing, it's okay, you should be, but also find your niche is something that we would also recommend, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the saying, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. So you kind of have to,
any
really specialize and become skilled in your area.
any book recommendations that you have, or any design book recommendations, or maybe on communication, creative communication or something like that, or
I
advertising?
say if you are going for branding, I think the Brand Gap by Marty Neumeyer is amazing.
Yeah,
That's a really good one.
true.
And there's another really great book called The Choice Factory on consumer behavior.
Okay,
And that is
okay,
brilliant because it has a lot of psychological insight on why people choose the products that they choose and why people make the choices that they make, which is
okay.
very important for everyone in the communication design field, even if it's as abstract as advertising or, I mean, we are technically more abstract in the sense because ad campaigns are by advertisers. But yeah, basically to understand the psychological nuances of why consumers behave the way they do. So ultimately, we are designing for products that have to appeal to consumers.
Yeah, and if it's about branding or identity design, I would recommend the brand identity. I mean, the identity design by Alina Wheeler. Even she is a great author, Alina Wheeler, and she has explained very thoroughly that how the process should be, and every designer should trust the process, stick to the process, and you never know what surprises the process will throw. So start with the strategy, then the design, then the touch points. I mean, by touch points, I mean the application of the design and all of
Yeah.
it. So एक thorough process है, उसको please आप follow करो. And all the designers or any aspirants out here, आप you are a good designer, you have good skills in you, that's great. But आप उसको build करो, and ये जो दूसरे factors हैं जो आपको build करते हैं as a great or ideal designer in the industry, which is reading books, being updated, try to have a good communication skills as well, try to you know have good writing skills as well, how you can articulate your thoughts. तो ये सब factors भी बहुत important हैं, and always solve a client's problem, खाली design मत करो. So it's something
For
that
sure.
we can say. And if you can, Anisha, now throw some light on portfolio building and how can someone have a good portfolio. I guess even that will help people to get more leads. Referrals are one thing, great, but if you can throw some light on being presentable online,
Yeah, yeah,
personal
sure.
branding, and if you can simplify it, and how and on portfolio, an ideal portfolio.
So I think that as we've discussed already, that having your work out there online on whatever platform is one of the most important things you can do right now,
True.
and even before the COVID crisis hit. And honestly, your portfolio needs to be like a menu of things you are capable of doing. Because
Okay.
oftentimes a client just has comes to you with a vague idea of what they want. And when they
Okay.
go through the portfolio, they're able to then pinpoint things that they didn't even realize they require. So
Anisha,
your
I'd
port
like to add something over here.
yeah, sure.
If you can give some more overview on portfolio, if you are a freelancer and how the portfolio should be for the clients, and
Yeah.
if you are a designer who is aspiring to join an agency or any design collective, so how the portfolio should be like, and if there are some similarities or differences, and if you can please explain.
So, as per what my experience has been when I applied to join a design studio, I spent a whole year and I think 2 years before that freelancing. So, in that time, I was very fortunate to work on a series of different brands from various sectors across
Very true.
startups, yeah, across startups as well. So, that
Okay.
allowed my portfolio to contain branding work from everything to food brands to clothes brands to even NFC brands. So
Okay.
when you're able to show diversity in the kind of work that you do, that is
Okay.
very important, especially when you're joining a studio. They need to see that you're capable of adapting your work to various clientele. So
Right.
before I joined my studio Beyond Design,
Right.
they deal primarily in luxury brands,
Yeah.
which I didn't have a lot of in my portfolio. But because I
Yeah.
was able to showcase diversity, they
Right.
understood that I would be able to cope up with
Right.
adapting to luxury design.
Right.
So that is something that is super important. And
Okay.
also another cool thing I'd say is even if you don't have active client work, I'd say pick up a mock project. Pick up
Okay.
something that interests you and build a project around it. Start an
Okay.
identity design project just of your own. Because
Okay.
honestly, I did that and I have got 6 clients for a mock project.
Great. Great. So you can always start for someone you are telling on a pro bono or rather free basis, and then you also have a hands-on experience, and even the client benefits something like that. You can start like that.
You can start like that as well, yeah. But even if you don't have a client in hand, just theorize a project, pick up an idea in your own hand and build a project of your own.
Okay, great. So with the portfolio, I would also like to say that like me, having taken a lot of interviews of designers, one thing as an agency, please come, it's have diversified work, that's great, but uh, have be concise, like be precise, and show one case study or two case studies if possible, and be thorough with it, and try to show the complete process in the case study. You
Yeah.
just don't show the mock-up of the final output and scroll some 3 to 5 JPEGs that we see. वो images देख के अच्छा काम है is not what we are looking at. A case study which you can tell, okay, this was the client, this was the problem, this is how I added value in this problem, and I was just playing this role, and 2 to 3 people I had in with me to do this project, and this is the role they played, this is the role I played, and together we took this ahead, and these are the designs that I have done, and this is where the team helped me, and this is the benefits that the clients got, so or the client got or anything. So this shows that okay, you are a good problem solver, okay, you understand, you are
The
something
design
which is,
process.
yeah, beyond design. खाली आप design नहीं कर रहे हो, you are beyond that. You are good when it comes to working in a team, because trust me, you're not going to work alone in the industry or even as a freelancer. Sometimes it's a collective. If it's a project, if it's a good project, we need 3 to 4 freelancers together on that project. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप अकेले pull off कर पाओगे. And the deadlines you already know, Anisha, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you think you will be able to pull off, great, but you need to do that in a stipulated time. एक stipulated time में आपको करना है. So you need teamwork. So if you show some teamwork in your assignments also, it will help. And how extrovert or how flexible you are working in a team is something that helps.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you said about showcasing your process right from conceptualization to execution, and also now the real world application and how your solution has actually helped the client, that is super important.
True. And also update yourself. एक चीज है कि exposure. Now, as you said, luxury brands. Now, if it's, see, you don't need to be it's okay if you are not from any privileged backgrounds or something like that, but try to, like, I'm not talking about the current COVID scenario, but try to travel a little bit, even a short, like if I stay in Mumbai, I went to a Taj hotel, I just Taj Kolaba, and I just had a walk. I was breathing the showrooms over there, the brands over there. So that
Yeah.
exposure also helps. It's there in your mind, and in days ahead or any given time, if you get to work on a luxury brand, and if you had that exposure, again, let me repeat, I don't mean you come from a privileged background or you buy those products or something like that, बट जाओ, घूमो, देखो, ऑब्जर्व करो, उसको ब्रीथ करो, उसको समझो. आप अगर आपको कोई क्लब या लाउंज का प्रोजेक्ट आ गया कि आपको एक कंप्लीट इंटीरियर का, I'm sorry, the environment design of a lounge or the logo of a lounge or the menu of a lounge. So if you have never known what is a lounge, you won't be able to deliver to that extent which you, as per your caliber. You are
Yeah.
capable aesthetically, creatively, great, but अगर exposure नहीं रहा आपको तो बहुत दिक्कत हो सकती है, is what I
I
feel, Anisha.
fully agree with that. Yeah, because I mean, if you have not experienced some of this at least firsthand, you won't be
Yeah,
able to understand the impact it's supposed to have,
it's
like
okay if you
what
don't.
the impact is.
Yeah,
Yeah. Even if you just like you said, even roam around on the streets and look at luxury showrooms from the outside, walk into a store, look out, check out the ambience there, even go onto their websites and research what their website, the look and feel is like. Utna bhi you
right,
can do.
right.
Because a lot of them have like an e-showroom experience now where you can walk around digitally inside these showrooms, which is accessible to everyone.
ट्रू. तब जाके आपको दिक्कत नहीं आएगी, नहीं तो जस्ट हैविंग, ओके, मतलब आपने स्ट्रैटेजी समझ ली थोड़ी बहुत, आपने डिजाइन समझ ली, फिर भी आपको एक्सपोजर नहीं रहेगा तो भी कहीं ना कहीं इशू आएगा. सो प्लीज ट्राई टू हैव सम गुड एक्सपोजर, हैव सम गुड एक्सपीरियंसेस, टॉक टू एनीबडी अराउंड you, be, open up, don't be that in your bubble. It's okay, be in your bubble for a great amount of time, and you need that creative space, but then come out, like interact, talk, speak, travel a bit, read something, consume good shows, movies on Netflix if possible. Everything accumulates into a And all this accumulates into how good you can develop yourself.
Because I think, as we were discussing before, I mean, you are designing for people at the end of the day. And if you
Yeah,
don't know what is going on in the minds of people, what's happening in culture and society around you, you
right,
will be a little out of touch. You need to be in sync with that.
right, great. So any more tips you might have on this? Any more tips or tricks that you would like to give the new entrants, or how your journey has shaped up, or some mistakes that you had done in your journey and you would want the people watching this, or the designers, new designers watching this, they don't repeat the same mistakes or something like that? Or if you can, share something for them they can take away
Uh,
from this.
I think one very interesting happy accident that happened for me. I think I'm going to call it a happy accident because at that point of time, I didn't think I'm doing this consciously. But when I set up my social media, my work social media, I segregated my personal and work social media very early on, and dedicated my work social media with a very, I'm going to say, strict or rigid grid system, and in which I was able to showcase a lot of my work very systematically. So, and I think I mean, something as simple as an Instagram account has honestly generated so much revenue for me up until this point that I sometimes can't believe it. So I think having a very, very organized social media presence for your work is something that's important. It was an accident for me, but I am honestly recognizing the benefits of it now. Another thing I'd say is don't go into a project with the idea that I'm going to earn money from this. Go into a project with the idea that I'm here to solve a problem. And because that attitude is something that will come across to the client very clearly and they feel it. And when your only goal here is to solve the problem for your client, automatically your attitude of working, your efficiency of delivering, and the kind of passion you work
Right,
with, that comes through.
right,
And
right.
that comes through in the finished product, and that's how the client really connects with you, and that's how you get referrals as well. You
True,
can't go into it with a mindset of I'm going to make as much money as I can out of this guy.
true. And some things that I like, the प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग जो हम बोल रहे हैं, एक कुछ शॉर्ट एग्जांपल हम लोग जो दे पाए, अगर कुछ यू इट्स ओके इफ यू डोंट नेम द ब्रांड, बट अगर आपने कुछ प्रोजेक्ट ऐसे किए होंगे दैट माइट हैव रियली हेल्प द क्लाइंट, it's okay, you can be in generic as much as possible, but kuch, or if you name it, it's okay as per your convenience, but something that you might have
So,
done really helped the client.
okay. So recently, I was approached to do a series of infographics for a client, and because they were putting up an Instagram carousel of 5 infographics to
Okay,
kind of explain a process, and that was all I was commissioned to do.
okay,
So I did the infographics, and it turned out really well, and the client
okay,
really appreciated it. And then they said, I want to put these infographics on my website as well.
right,
And then they realized, ki, listen, the infographics are looking too nice. I don't like how my website looks in return. So can you design the website so that the
yeah,
infographics look nice in it?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it became a website design project, and which then turned into a logo redesign project, which has now turned into me being on retainer with them to take care of all
great,
of their brand requirements.
great,
So I feel like when you go in with a good intent, everything just sort of flows from there.
right, right. And one experience that I would like to share over here of my recent work, CAs, like the chartered accountants, are not really allowed to advertise or brand themselves. And so what we suggested couple of our clients was, like one of our client was that, it's, if you can't advertise, that's okay, why don't you start an education program, or an education program, or a free consultation program for your clients. Let's brand that program, or let us market that program. At least you can market that, right? We will name it separately, we will position it separately, and that's how you can stay connected with your clients. They will get some free education on taxation from you, how taxes work, how are the new norms and new reforms coming in from the government, and if they learn from you, they'll, if somebody learns something from you, they will definitely stay loyal to you, and that's how you can also gain new customers and retain the current ones. So this is a solution that we gave them along with designing their collaterals and everything. So this is something I'm trying to talk to audience over here. Designing their logo or collaterals or profile for that program is one thing, but the solution we gave them, or this is something we are trying to tell, that problem solve karo, matlab unka kuch to, or somebody who is trying to come up with 2 to 3 verticals or some 2 to 3 products, or in same, for example, आप कोई रियल एस्टेट फॉर्म हो, आप अलग अलग सेगमेंट्स में जाना चाहते हो, इंटीरियर, कंस्ट्रक्शन, XYZ, and if you select different names for different verticals, rather having one name, unified branding, our responsibility is to explain them the importance of unified branding and so on and so forth. तो ऐसे उनका प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने का आप ट्राई करो. I guess any more questions that are coming up, so we would be glad to answer them.
I think this was really interesting. I think this is one of the most fun conversations I've had in a while.
Is it? Acha, are nice. I'm
Yeah.
Great to have you on this platform of Brand Indians, and it's a little, I guess, it's a small effort that we are doing or contributing a bit in our own capacity, and maximum value that we can add for the people out there, or the new aspirants out there, or the new designers out there who are entering this industry, and the exposure that they should have.
I think that's really great. And I mean, this is one of the easiest ways in which to quickly add value as far as you can.
Right. Any more questions that we can then conclude? Or thank you so much, Hassan. It was quite informative. Good effort, guys. Thank you so much. We are trying our bit. Or 1 or 2 lines.
Line message and how to improve design skills. Okay. 1 line message for aspiring designers is never be afraid to keep learning. I think is the best thing that you can say, because like we were discussing, in the blink of an eye you can be outdated. So literally just keep learning. Your learning journey never ends.
This is the best question for you. You being a copywriter and designer, I'll ask the question: copy or visual? What first? Copy or visual?
Okay.
Like the right person out here. Copy or visual? We are asking this.
Generally, it is recommended that the copy comes first. Always.
Idea first.
Idea first, but copy first, so you know exactly how much space it's going to take up, what size your creative needs to be, and how you can arrange the elements. Because if the copy is set and nothing can change about it, and you've already constructed this design, then you're kind of screwed. But if you're a little lucky, in my case, that you can change the copy as you go along, I get to do both side by side. But otherwise, try and have your copy set first.
True. And Ashish, somewhere even I believe that idea and copy comes first. I take my paper and pen first before even I open the AI. So I mean the Illustrator or something. Paper and pen, the thoughts, the writing, and once you are clear with the thought, the copy, the design flows. And sometimes it's simultaneous also. I can't answer this or this first. But in maximum cases for me, it has been copy first.
Yeah, and it also, like, once you have your concept ready, once your words are ready, then the visuals are built from that. You kind of know what direction and what feel you want to go for in your creative as well.
Great, Anisha. Any more inputs that you would like to give, and then we can conclude, I guess. Or you are sorted?
I think I'm good.
Still.
I feel like a lot of gyan has been given today. I don't want to give too much.
Too much of it at once, and just and then we'll be back again with some more exciting conversations on this Brand Indians. And
Hi,
yeah, sharing our experiences is something we are trying to do here. And make new mistakes, don't repeat the same ones that we did. And that's how I sign off. And thank you everyone for joining this live session. Thank you all the audience out there for sharing the love, the hi, hello. A lot of people out here for Anisa.
A lot of people are saying hi.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the love, guys. Thank you so much for all.